My sister told my 10-year-old son in front of everyone, "Sweetheart, Thanksgiving turkey is only for family." A few people chuckled. I stood up quietly, took my son's hand, and said, "Come on, buddy." The next week, I shared pictures from our trip to the Bahamas, first-class flights, a luxury resort, snorkeling. The total was $23,000. My sister called, panicking. "How did you afford this?" I replied, "Easy." I paused, "Covering your mortgage." Hey, Reddit. Thanksgiving in my family had never been loud. It wasn't filled with shouting matches or dramatic exits. It was quieter, full of smiles that didn't reach the eyes, comments disguised as jokes, and expectations never stated but always upheld. Still, I went every year. This time, I brought my son. He was 10, thoughtful and observant, the kind of kid who picks up on discomfort and tries to ease it. He had spent the week talking about Thanksgiving, not for gifts or time off school, but for one reason: turkey. Not just the idea of it, but the tradition. He remembered how his aunt carved it slowly, almost ceremoniously. He recalled the smell, the gravy, and how everyone leaned in. "I'm going to have extra," he told me that morning, grinning. "Because it's Thanksgiving." I smiled and ruffled his hair. "Of course you are." I didn't realize how fragile that assumption was. We arrived early as usual. That was my role, to arrive early and quietly stay out of the way. My sister's house was big, bright, and immaculate, everything staged to be admired rather than lived in. She greeted us warmly enough, a quick hug and a practiced smile. My son immediately offered to help. He set the table without being asked, carefully arranging the silverware and checking that all the napkins were folded neatly. He carried dishes from the counter, careful not to spill anything. "Thank you for helping," I whispered to him. He nodded seriously. "I want Annie to like me." That should have stopped me, but I brushed it off. Dinner was crowded, relatives packed in shoulder to shoulder. Conversations overlapped, and laughter rose and fell in waves. My sister sat at the head of the table, glowing, as she always did during holidays. She loved hosting, loved being seen as the one who had it all together. Wine glasses clinked, plates were passed, and the turkey sat in the center of the table, golden and steaming. The room quieted as she stood to carve it. This was her moment. She made a show of it, explaining how long it had cooked, how she had seasoned it, and how everyone would love it. Then her gaze landed on my son. She smiled, not warmly but with amusement. "Sweetheart," she said brightly, loud enough for everyone, "Thanksgiving turkey is only for family." The words landed wrong. The room froze for half a second, not long enough for someone to stop her, but enough for everyone to grasp what she had just said. A few people laughed, soft chuckles, not uncomfortable ones, the kind that say, "We're not the ones being singled out." My son's fork hovered in midair. He looked at his plate, then at me, his face slowly flushing with confusion and embarrassment. "She's joking, right?" he whispered. I felt my chest tighten, like something was being squeezed from the inside. I didn't ask her to clarify. I didn't demand an explanation. I stood up slowly and calmly, pushed my chair back gently, and reached for my son's hand. "Come on, buddy," I said softly. That was it. No anger in my voice, no accusation, just finality. The table fell silent again. My sister blinked, surprised. "Oh, come on," she said lightly. "I didn't mean it like that." But she didn't offer him any turkey. No one did. I walked my son out the door. No one stopped us or followed. In the car, he stared out the window. Traffic crawled by, people heading home with leftovers and laughter still clinging to their clothes. "I didn't know I wasn't family," he said quietly. My grip tightened on the steering wheel. "You are," I replied immediately. He nodded but didn't look convinced because kids don't listen to reassurances, they listen to actions. What my family didn't know, especially my sister, was how much I had been helping her for years. Not just once or twice. Every month, whenever her husband lost his job, when the mortgage rate changed, when things got tight, she never asked directly. She didn't have to. "It's temporary. Just until next month. We'll catch up soon." And I sent the money, quietly, consistently. I never told anyone, my parents, other relatives, not even my son, because it wasn't about recognition. It was about stability. I didn't want our kids to feel unsafe, or for the house to feel heavy. I didn't want Thanksgiving to feel fragile. That night, after my son fell asleep, I sat alone at my kitchen table. The house was quiet, too quiet. I opened my laptop. I didn't cry. I didn't rage. I did something much calmer. I paused the transfers. I didn't announce it. I didn't warn her. I just stopped. Weeks passed. No messages, no calls. Then the photos came. Blue water, white sand, my son laughing with a snorkel crooked on his face, wide seats, soft blankets, first class. I posted them all. No captions, no explanations, just moments of peace. A week later, my phone rang. It was my sister. Her voice was sharp, but beneath it was something new, panic. "How did you afford this?" she demanded. "That trip must have cost a fortune." I leaned back in my chair because for the first time in years, my answer felt honest, simple, and free. What I told her didn't just explain the vacation. It revealed years of quiet sacrifice she never realized were holding her life together. I didn't respond to my sister right away. I let the question hang in the air between us, just like my son's confusion had lingered in the dining room that night. "How did you pay for this?" she repeated, sharper now. "Do you have any idea how irresponsible that looks?" I almost laughed. Irresponsible. That word had followed me my entire life, typically from people who never knew how much I was quietly holding together. "I didn't do anything special," I said calmly. "I just redirected money I already had." There was a pause. "What money?" she asked. I closed my eyes for a moment, thinking of my son's face, the way his shoulders had stiffened at the table, the way he had asked if he wasn't family. "The money I was sending you every month," I replied. Her breath caught. "You stopped," she said slowly. "Yes," I answered. "The night you told my child he wasn't family." The line went quiet, then her voice returned, strained. "You can't just do that." I smiled faintly. "I can," I said, and I did. She tried to laugh it off at first. "You're exaggerating," she said. "It was a joke." "It wasn't funny to him," I replied. "And it wasn't funny to me." "You didn't even give me a chance to explain," she snapped. "You had years to notice," I said quietly. Her tone shifted from irritation to fear. "Do you know what this means?" she asked. "The mortgage, the payments. We were counting on that." I leaned back in my chair, staring out at the ocean beyond the resort balcony. My son was down by the water with an instructor, laughing freely, unafraid, completely himself. "That's exactly the problem," I said. "You were counting on it." She started talking quickly then, explaining, justifying, listing reasons why things were hard, how expensive everything was, how stressed she had been hosting, how she didn't mean him specifically, just meant family as adults. I listened without interrupting, and when she finally ran out of words, I spoke. "You excluded a child," I said calmly. "My child, in front of everyone. And you laughed." She scoffed. "He'll get over it." I felt something cold settle in my chest. "No," I said. "He won't, but I will." That was when she snapped. "So that's it," she shouted. "You're punishing me because of one comment." I shook my head, even though she couldn't see it. "I'm not punishing you," I said. "I'm protecting him." Silence fell again. The next call came from my mother. Her voice was already tight. "Why didn't you tell me you were sending her money?" she asked. "Because it wasn't meant to be leverage," I replied. "It was support." My mom sighed heavily. "She says you cut her off without warning." "I stopped paying her mortgage," I said plainly. "That's not something you warn people about." "She's family," my mom insisted. "So is my son," I replied. That stopped her. She said it was a joke. My mom tried again. "Then why did people laugh?" I asked quietly. Another pause. When I returned from the Bahamas, energy had shifted. Family group chats were quieter, conversations more cautious. No one mentioned Thanksgiving. My sister didn't invite us over, and I didn't ask to come. A month later, she called again. This time her voice sounded different, tired. "I'm behind," she admitted. "We might have to refinance." I felt no satisfaction, just clarity. "I hope you figure it out," I said honestly. "You really won't help?" she asked. I thought of my son sitting at a small restaurant table on the island, proudly ordering his own meal, laughing without checking if he was allowed. "No," I replied. "Not like that." The real change didn't happen with my sister, it happened with my son. Weeks later, While we were cooking together, he looked up at me and asked, "Am I family now?" I knelt down in front of him. "You always were," I said. "Some people just forgot how to act like it." He nodded, satisfied. That was enough. Here's what I learned through all of this. People will quietly take from you for years while feeling entitled to humiliate you publicly. They will label your boundaries as selfish because they relied on your silence. And the moment you stop funding disrespect, the truth comes out quickly. I didn't book that vacation to show off. I booked it to remind myself and my son what peace looks like. This time, I wasn't going to apologize for it. If someone can laugh while your child is humiliated, they don't deserve your generosity. Money given in silence becomes entitlement. Boundaries spoken aloud become freedom. Choose your children every time. That's all for today's story. Stay tuned for more powerful, real-life inspired tales.